Hello YouTube, Cal Dallas Gamer here with another Soul Calibur 4 video. Now, I've been having issues lately with the whole game recorded card for my PS3, but luckily I fixed it and right now everything is running smooth and with better graphics, way better than before. It turns out that I need to change the setting on my PS3 in order to record some better graphical details on my PS3 to the maximum output that it could do, as well as my game card. And I had to run around with the OBS software. I'm still learning. Yep, still learning. But anyway, enough of that. What I really want to discuss in this video is Ivy, my queen, my delicious, amazing queen Ivy. I know I sound like a goon saying that, but I will say that because I like. And yes, I like my queen Ivy. And what I want to discuss in this video is basically the continuation of my personal theory of Ivy. That she is, I won't say immortal, but definitely somewhat immortal, like close to it. And when I say close to it, I mean like she is very difficult to be killed, despite that she loves to display herself vulnerable. And when I say vulnerable, I mean look at Ivy. She loves showing off her vulnerable female parts. And I know I sound like a gooner saying that, but I mean, here it is. I'm presenting you Ivy through this gameplay footage that I recorded myself playing on. And I'm just basically showing the facts. Sorry, guys. So basically, the theory is this, that because Ivy is doing self alchemy, in other words, she does self experimentation on herself with alchemy, she must have achieved somewhat similar immortality that her father, her adopted father, wishes to achieve. Because if you guys read the lore of Ivy, she was raised by adopted parents, which are noble family from England, and her adopted father was obsessed with immortality, and he believed that he could achieve it through alchemy. And sadly, eventually, he became mad, especially after learning about Soul Calibur, which is a magical sword with infinite power. But this magical sword with infinite power is very evil and it corrupts people. So her adopted father went mad because over the Soul Calibur thing, and eventually he passed away. And then sooner or later, her adopted mother also passed away. Ivy, trying to avenge her adopted parents through continuing her father works, but more importantly, destroying the Soul Calibur. That's basically the summary of her story. Now, remember what I said? Her parents are adopted parents. So it turns out her real dad, her real biological father, is a zombie pirate. Castellan, or I don't know how to pronounce his name. It starts with a C, but he's definitely in the game Soul Calibur as a playable character, and he looks awesome. He's basically a zombie pirate. Best way I could put it. Magical zombie pirate because he's capable of using magic, and that's Ivy's biological father. That being said, throughout the Soul Calibur series, Soul Calibur 4 was supposed to be the last game of the Soul Calibur series. In other words, the finishing story. And Ivy's biological father almost killed her, and she had a near death experience. And the reason why her biological father wanted to kill Ivy is to gain her soul in order to power himself up. And he somewhat succeeded, but Ivy managed to escape and create an artificial soul through again alchemy. Because Ivy, for some reason, she loves doing alchemy experiment, and she loves doing it on herself, on her own body. And she's somewhat successful, surprisingly. Way more successful, arguably more successful than her adopted father. And because of that success, my personal theory is that despite Ivy having near death experience, and she almost died because of her biological father, She was very successful with her alchemy, especially with her self experimentation alchemy, to the point where it preserved her beauty, her sexiness, and of course, most likely heal her amazing body. And when I say heal, I mean legit rapidly heal her body, as if she was Wolverine or Deadpool. Now, keep in mind, immortality or the desire of immortality is a theme in this game, just like in the video game Sun Wukong. One of the characters in Soul Calibur is actually immortal, surprisingly. In other words, he cannot die or at least stay dead. And this kind of reminds me from that anime, Rin, Dollar, and Miniso, which, if you guys seen that anime, it's about a sexy female private investigator, Rin Asogi, who is completely immortal, and it does not matter if she gets blown up, shot at, turned to bits, or even get sucked into a turbine engine, which that literally shows in the anime, or get tortured to death, which in the anime it shows Rinnosuke getting mutilated, especially on her private parts, which is very gruesome. And yet she comes back as if nothing ever happens to her. I repeat, nothing. And that's something that kind of reminds me of when it comes to Soul Calibur Ivy, especially on the fourth game. Why on the fourth game? Is because if you compare Ivy's design with all the Soul Calibur games throughout the series, it is the fourth game, for some reason, that she is the most kinkiest. And when I say kinky, I mean like the most revealing. And if you Google Ivy, Soul Calibur Ivy, the first image that you're gonna see is her fourth video game design. And to me, I feel like that's both coincidental with, you know, the developers trying to make Ivy sexy in order to sell the game. But at the same time, lore wise, it's very, how do I say this, on purpose. Like, it's very on purpose for the sake of lore wise, because the more I think about Ivy being immortal and Ivy having the potential of having super healing, super regeneration makes more sense the more I think about it. Because once again, immortality is a theme in this game. Ivy does, throughout the Soul Calibur series, she clearly does not fear death. And Ivy does not fear demons or monsters or working with them, or hell, even making sacrifice for them. Which in Soul Calibur 6, and I'll show a little video right here. Right here in this background, Ivy admits that she's willing to shake hands with a demon. Now, I want to play the intro of Ivy in Soul Calibur 4. Here, Ivy is fighting a female knight. Well, first I'm gonna shut up. Okay, so you saw the intro video of Soul Calibur 4 of Ivy, and what I wanted to point out is something very obvious. Here, Ivy, being a very sexy woman in her early 30s. I was about to say 20s, but if you look at Soul Calibur 4, the background character, Ivy is actually in her early 30s. She's 32 by age of Soul Calibur 4. And she's fighting a female princess who is in fully knight armor from head to toe. Now, let's assume that this princess has years and years of experience and training of fighting with swords and spears. While Ivy, being a nobility, there's no, like, if you read Ivy's lore, there's no indication of her having some fighting style of training. Like, literally, there's no indication at all. And this scene alone baffles me. Why on earth Ivy wearing that kinky, sexy costume, or should I say outfit? It's not a costume, it's more of an outfit because that's legit Ivy. outfit of what she wears throughout her adventures. And the only armor that she has on is her left side pauldron. That's the only armor that she has. Everything else is outright exposed. And keep in mind, Ivy is a tall woman. So that left side pauldron is barely gonna, block anything. I think it's just there for aesthetics because throughout the game, especially if you play the game, and throughout Soul Calibur series, Ivy doesn't really block with that pauldron. What she blocks is with her sword, legit her sword. And this kind of makes me laugh, but at the same time, I'm very baffled why on earth Ivy does this. I mean, once again, let me replay that. Use in slow motion. Here, Ivy is literally jumping towards her enemy, and her enemy is a female knight that has years and years of experience. Sorry, of fighting, especially with that sword and that spear. And Ivy, she's not only jumping, but she's jumping towards that female knight that's exponentially way more dangerous than her. And Ivy has almost no, experience of fighting, especially in her background. The only thing she has over this female knight is her supernatural self experimentation that she did on her, which once again gives me this conclusion that Ivy has super healing and regeneration. Obviously, it's not going to show it in Soul Calibur because that would require some rated R, or should I say rated M for mature, gruesome scenes where we get to see Ivy getting cut open, impale, blood splat over, especially on her hips, butt, and should I say her juicy breast, especially on her breast. I mean, imagine that female knight using her blade to cut her breast as she jumps on her. I mean, that's going to be both gruesome and a little bit, you know, very awkward. But it's going to show off her regeneration healing ability. And this kind of reminds me of that one anime where you see this bunny girl where she purposely allowed herself to get slashed. And the reason why she allowed herself to get slashed is because it's to, what's the best way I could say it? Use psychology warfare against her opponents. This makes more sense to me, and it makes even more sense to me why Ivy dressed this way. I think it's not only to appear sexy and let male guards, have their guards down, but at the same time, when it comes to fighting female opponents and supernatural opponents, it lets her opponents know that, hey, she's not a normal human, rather, she is a superhuman, and she's going to be very, very hard to kill because she has super healing abilities. And her vulnerability, her exposure, especially her vulnerable female flesh, makes more sense the more I think about it. Well, guys, I hope you guys like this conclusion that I made, but I'll make more videos about it. Caldalis Gamer, over and out.